everyone. I am Jessica Koch, and this is Profound Professionals. I have had the honor of hosting this show for over 5 years now. We interview amazing and brilliant individuals from all over the world, and they share their expertise and knowledge in different industries. Today, I have the pleasure and the excitement of interviewing Kathleen Sinclair. She is going to kick your booty kind of woman. She is on a mission to revolutionize how we deal with aging. She has said, you know what, aging, take that. We are not going to stick around for that. We are just going to go and have some fun, I think. So I'm excited to hear all your different interesting stories around the journey of aging and dealing with it differently. Welcome, Kathleen.
Ooh, Jessica, thanks so much for having me. I'm really glad to be here.
I am super excited. So, Kathleen, you were a young spring chicken at one point in your life. So what on your journey led you here to be putting on your boxing gloves and making it a mission to knock aging out?
Well, I tell you, I think it started when I was 25, if you can believe it. And I grew up with an abusive father, very verbally and physically, and so we didn't have a good relationship. Let's put it that way. But when I was 25, my father died, and I was given the job to go. He went to the hospital the night before. He died during the night, and so I was given the job to go pick up his things. So, I just waltzed into the hospital and say, hi, my dad died overnight and I'm here to pick up his things. And this woman comes down and hands me a brown paper bag like from the grocery store with my dad's things in it. And, I took the bag. I went out into the parking lot. I just kind of stood there and I thought, this is my dad. This is my dad in this bag. This is all that is left of him. He never said anything I did was good. He was very critical. And I just thought, but I am not going to be like that when I get older. I am not going to be like that. That is not the way to be. I mean, here I am feeling this and I'm mixed emotion. Just my dad died, and in a way I don't care, and it really bothered me that I didn't care. And so I made up my mind right then that when I grew older, I was going to make some kind of a difference. I didn't know what it was, but I was going to do it. So of course time goes by, so then I reached a point when I was 60, I was walking my dogs. I had 4 dogs. And we were walking along this edge of the river. I got up really early. It was in the dark. And I had this voice come to me and say, okay, Kathleen, what are you doing with your life? And I thought, holy crap, what am I doing with my life? I'm 60 years old. So then I went on this journey. I thought, okay, what am I doing? So I started doing things. I got a master's. I went in the Peace Corps for 2 years to Ukraine.
Wait a minute. At 60? At 60, you got
63. At 60, I got my master's. At 63, I went in the Peace Corps. I know. It's just so weird. And so I lived in Ukraine for a couple of years, taught at a university. I came back. And because of my experience there, I went into conflict resolution and mediation. So I worked with the court systems for a while. And then I just took off. I wanted to travel the world and talk to people. So that's what I did. I traveled the world for a year. I did house sitting and pet sitting, and I talked to people. And I came to the realization that, I was busy. I was doing a lot of things, but I didn't have a purpose. I thought, okay, you're busy, but what's this busyness? Where is it taking you? I volunteered, I did all these things. So I really had to dig deep and do a lot of work on what my purpose was. And then when I figured out my purpose, then my life sort of opened up. And I realized that my purpose was to change the way we thought of aging, that aging's just like, many people have said, it's just a number. it isn't just a number. It's also an attitude. It's a mindset. It's the way we speak about it. Oh, I can't. I'm just an old codger. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, my bones ache. It's how we look at it. And it's also how society looks at it, and advertising and the medical field and everything like that. So from that point on, I've been on this freaking journey to change the way we look at aging, and for people to realize that it's that doesn't have to stop them. They don't have to have a fixed mindset about aging at all. They don't have to, but it's and one of the things I wanted to say, like a tip for people is that think about the 80-20 rule. It's 80% is how we are looking at it in our mind and in our spirituality and who we are. And 20% of it is the doing, where I was doing the 80% doing, and I hadn't really given myself an opportunity to figure out what's going on inside. Where am I with this? How's my creativity, my mindset, my motivation? So that's really what I want people to get a grasp of, is that think of this 80-20. Yes, you need to do the 20, but you need to do the 80 first. And then the 20, then you do the doing. So yeah, that's where I am.
I tell you what, people look at me like I have four heads all the time, Kathleen, because I say I'm going to be 120, and I'm going to be.
That's what I say. 120.
120. You know why? My husband's 11 years older than me, and I figure he can make it to at least 110. I'm going to be 120, and we're going to be thriving and still functioning all the ways, all the good ways. Everything's still going to be working. Because I really like my husband.
Exactly.
So
and
I'm having fun until the end.
Till the end. And then beyond.
And beyond. That's right.
So,
that's right.
It's true. Because the truth is, if you look at people over time, I don't know. I mean, not too long ago, people lived to be about 30, 35. And then gradually, because of medical care and all kinds of other things that were going on, and sanitation and water and so on, we've lived longer. We're living longer. And we will continue to do that. And I think that with people like you talking to people like that, and me, revolutionizing it, and other really, really smart women out there, and men too, it will gradually shift. It might not look like it, but it's moving up, and we're going to live longer. Like right now, only 1% of the population lives to be over 100. I go, what the hell is that about? I will be way over that. I think it'll be 10%, 20%. No questions asked. And I mean, there are 5 blue zones now where people routinely live over 100. There'll be hundreds of blue zones. We'll create our own blue zone.
That's right. I don't need a zone. I just, me and my bubble are going to live. I'm going to live.
That's right. Yeah. Me too.
I like life too much. That's the other thing. I have so much joy and love and happiness and gratitude in my life that I'm living such a good life. That's part of why I don't want to go yet. I don't want to go.
The thing is
I just turned 50. I turned 50 in January.
Oh, wow.
My birthday is the 8th. I turned 50 January 12th. And I feel like 50 is the new 20.
It is. And with your attitude, it is, except you have the knowledge now that you didn't have when you were 20. So that's what makes it so freaking exciting, is that when you get older, and you get older like me, yes, you have all this experience, all these skills, all this talent, and it's just should not go to waste. No. It should not. When you're 20% of the population, that is a huge human resource that needs to be tapped now. And that's how I feel about it, is that there's just a lot going on. But society still says, oh, you reach a certain age and you kind of retire, or corporations say, oh, you reach a certain age, let's roll you out and roll in somebody newer that doesn't cost as much. Big mistake, big fat mistake. It's just it's just not. So that's why when I say the word revolutionize, I don't mean it in an angry kind of confrontational way. I mean it more in a Gandhi way, a Martin Luther King way, where you just start shifting the way people think about it, and gradually, through education and other things, people's mindset changes, and you create a new paradigm, a new way of looking at aging. So that's what I'm all about.
So what does it look like when people work with you?
Well, I first of all, we really need to, when they work with me, they work on in a coaching basis, whereas I give them tools to do things and they do the things. And so it's usually 8 to 10 weeks long. And then in 3 months, I have a 2-day seminar. So it's kind of, we work on things, then we come back together and we go, okay, how's it going? What do we need to do? What do we need to fix? What's the next step? And so on. So that's how working with me works in that way. I also do speaking. So that's speaking with a large group of people. And in that way, you know, when you do a keynote speech or something, it's different. You're just going over some points, but then you give people an opportunity to work with you. And so that's basically the structure. And I always like people to start with their story. And I really think that who we are, and probably you'll know this too, from who we are, what we're afraid of, what holds us back, what moves us forward, is because of things that happened when we were younger. And often I find, particularly with women, it's sometimes a traumatic thing that happened. And so they get stuck. People get stuck, and they have blame, and they blame themselves for something that wasn't their fault at all, or their parents got divorced or something, you know, and you hang on to that. Even if you don't want to hang on to it, it's in there. So we work on the story. If you find out why you are who you are and what you are, that's great. You need to be who you are. And the reason I am this way is because of this. Okay, what are we going to do with that? Is that going to stop us now? Or are we going to include that? No, we're going to take it with us because we're all of those things. So we start with story first, and then we look at the clarity of our lives and cleaning up things. Sometimes maybe we have a bad relationship with our sister or an ex-spouse or somebody we worked with, and we get those things cleaned up. We figure out what's going on. And oftentimes also when we get older, we have accumulated a lot of stuff. Do we need that stuff, or do we need to kind of let go and purge and get rid of things? Then we look at our visions of our life, because if we don't look at each category, if we're only looking at our relationships and our finances, that's just part of our life. I have 12 categories. You might have 7 that you work on, or 9 or whatever, 14, who knows? But we go through the categories and we look at, where are we now? Where do we want to be? And how are we going to get there? So if it's for whatever it is, no blame, no nothing. It's just, this is it. And we're writing a lot. We're writing on the computer, in a journal. And then, you know, like, what do you want it to be like? Like, how do you want to be with your family? Or do some things need to be mended? Are you on speaking terms with everybody? Do you want to go on vacations once or twice a year? What do you want to do with that? You know, what do you want to do with that? And then how are you going to make that happen? Because you want to nurture all of these categories. It's you. And so whether it's your spirituality or your social life, a lot of older people don't have a social life. They don't even have friends. So if that's something you want, then what are you going to do about it? You know, how are you going to do that? So we go through those things, and then gradually we go through how people are dealing with their time. Because boy, I can't tell you how many people, I have no time. Oh my God, my time, I just have no time. And they end up, because women are really good at a whole bunch of stuff. And when you get really good at something, people depend on you a lot. And yes, you have no time for you. So you have to go, okay, what's this about? What can I do to get control of my time? And then we always have to look at mindset, you know, like I talked a little bit about before, whether you have a fixed mindset, I can't do it, I'm too old, I don't understand tech, I don't know where to start, you know, I screwed up before, I don't know, what would people say? That's a fixed mindset. So you need to sometimes do exercises to shift your mindset. Like, why are you saying that? Is that because you don't want to do it? Well, then be honest. Nope, that doesn't interest me at all. Rather than saying, oh, I'm too old. No, just say, no, that doesn't interest me. So you need to have a growth mindset. That's really, really important. Yes, I can do it. Maybe not yet, but yeah, I'm willing to learn. I'm really curious about that. And boy, that's always interested me. You know, I'm going to look into that. Well, what can I do? Well, I don't really know enough myself, but I know so-and-so, and they know a lot. I'll ask them, or I'll read a book, or I'll do this, or I'll attend a seminar, or whatever. So we go through what I call your 12 categories of your vision, and you need to get control of your time for sure, and your mindset. And then a lot of people have trouble with motivation. They lie in bed, they wake up, oh my God, I don't know if I can do it. You know, everything aches. So you have to work on your motivation. And people think motivation, you know, it doesn't come out of the air. It's something that you create. And, you know, motivation comes a lot from what we talked about before, about being curious about things, finding your purpose, setting certain goals, long-term goals, short daily goals, things like that. So that's what motivation is. I kind of look at motivation as a sandwich, and it's got all these layers to it. When you stack it all up, it's a freaking good Dagwood sandwich, and you eat it, and it's great. And then we look at creativity, and a lot of, oh, I'm not creative. I can't draw worth anything. Creativity isn't about fine arts. You know, if you are raising children, you're freaking creative. If you can get everybody out the door to school, you're creative. If you can pack lunches, you're creative. If you can do a vacation, you're creative. If you can do a dinner party for more than 2 people, you're creative. You know, people need to realize, well, yeah, I can do it. Well, yeah. But oftentimes as women, we put ourselves down. We don't think that's creative. We just say, oh, that's just my job, or that's just being a woman. No, that's being frickin' creative. So I want people to think about that part of their life. Sometimes they're gardeners. Oh my God, they don't even think of that. That's like creating a masterpiece out there to do this garden or grow vegetables or whatever, you know. So, and then we look at one thing that I found, I didn't even include this in my book, but I realized, my book came out last year, and I realized in talking to so many people since then, the immense power of a community of like-minded people. How important it is. Yeah. Whether it's like you and I talking over a, the computer, we're still connecting. We're still part of a community. Or if it's actual physical get-togethers or whatever it is, how important it is for people to have that in their lives. So I talk about how you create this, how you do it, how you go about it. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And then I always invite people to join my community, so at least they have some people already. And then if it's a group of people I'm doing coaching with or one-on-one, if it's a group, we all join each other's community. And so gradually you build up community. And then, like with Speaker's Playhouse, I feel that's a community I belong to.
It's a lovely.
You see what I mean?
Yes.
And so I'm not saying you have to go out to lunch every day with somebody. No, community comes in different views and in different flavors and in different ways.
Yeah, Napoleon Hill talked about masterminds and the value of putting our brains and the electricity and the energy of our minds together to solve a common puzzle or to collaborate on a common goal. You know, that idea and that concept of masterminds and community is just so important. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so too. And it's become more obvious to me when I'm down here in Mexico, but there are a lot of Americans, Canadians, and Danish and people from all over here. So it's not like I'm just dealing with another culture, although I love the Mexican culture. But it's also people come here. A lot of people come here to retire, or snowbirds, as they call them, come here. And you need to reach out. You know, you're here. You want to reach out. And so how do you do that? What do you do? And I'm basically an introvert that can be an extrovert. So what am I, an omnivert or something? I don't know what I am. But given my own druthers, I'm an introvert. You know, I love to read. I love to be quiet. I love to hike. I love to go places by myself, but I really love people. So it's a trade-off, you know. It's a trade-off. I have time for myself and I have time to be with people. So down here, I belong to a writing group because I'm a writer, and I belong to a photography group because I find photography focuses me. It quiets me down and it focuses me on that one thing I'm trying to take a photo of. And I only use my iPhone. You know, I mean, I don't even have a camera, but it's a good camera. So I do that, and it's just, and I'm a watercolorist, so I belong to an art society too. You know, it's just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm part of a weekly book club, and we read through a book and we collaborate and talk about it and share ideas about it. And I really love that. Every Tuesday mornings, I do a book club with the other.
Isn't it great?
Yeah. It's great. It's great. So
I belonged to a book group for 10 years one time, and then I moved, but I missed it. Yeah, just like you, I missed it. Yeah.
It's virtual. Ours is virtual, which is exciting. So we just
yeah.
And it's free, and it's a bunch of business owners, and we usually go through books that will help our businesses in some way. Like the last book we did was The One Thing. It's called The One Thing, and that was a great book. And then now we're doing Atomic Habits, which has also been really fantastic.
Oh, it's on my reading list. Okay.
Yeah, we're doing that. We're going through that book right now. And it's really great to do it with a group of other people. Share with us a tip or something amazing that people can do today that will help improve your lives. I mean, we talked about a lot of things. We've covered a lot of stuff. I want to get your 12 different things and areas of life from you so that we can include it in the article. But for now, share with someone listening something that they could do today that would make their life better.
I'm going to share about time, because I think that time is something that kind of is elusive and kind of sieves through our fingers, and we go at the end of the day and go, what happened? You know, or there's my list and nothing's checked off. So it's that, because we love these little gadgets so much, we love these phones. One of the things I think I would ask people to do is maybe put down that phone a bit more often, and maybe tell yourself, if you're really addicted, say, okay, I'm going to check it every hour for 5 minutes, and that's it. I'm going to check the email. I'll check and see if I got a message back from my friend. I'll check and see, are we going to dinner tonight? Whatever you have going. But then I would increase that time if you can. And then whenever you're with people, put the damn thing away. Make it just say, nope. Even if they have theirs out, put yours away and sit there and just say, you know, talk to them and see if you can get them to put it away. I have difficulty with this with my kids. They want to talk to me, but they want their phone too. And I go, just turn it over for now. And then in 20 minutes, you can check it. So look and see how you're doing with your phone. Are you looking at it all the time? Are you expecting things? Is it your friend? Is it your social life? Whatever it is, nope. Cut it out just a little bit.
I love that, because I disconnect from my phone physically as much as possible. I've even made it to the point where I leave it in my downstairs home office and I don't bring it up to my bedroom to sleep. My husband has his in the bathroom. That's off of our bedroom, so that in case we have adult children, we have 7 children, in case someone were to call in the middle of the night, we could get one emergency call. But I try to keep it far away from me as often as possible. If we go for a family walk or whatever, I either don't bring it at all or I leave it in the car. I agree with that. I need time where I'm completely separate from it, because there's just too much technology in our lives in general. I think everything from television to, you know, tablets and pads and phones, and, you know, our people's walking around with watches and everything's tracking them, and they're tracking everything. And it just seems like you need to be disconnected. And I think that's a great tip. Is there anything else about yourself or your business that you'd like to share, Kathleen, before we move on?
Well, I think that I particularly want to say this to women, is that there's so much they have to offer that I really want them to think about how they're going to live. I call it the next half of life. And so, if my target group is women over 50, then like at least 100 you're going to live, honey. So let's plan it out and make it absolutely fabulous. And it gives you peace of mind when you wake up in the morning to go, I know what I'm doing and I know why I'm doing it. And I feel so damn good about it. And I'm moving forward. I review all my categories and everything once a year between Christmas and New Year's. You can do it anytime you want. Some people do it quarterly. Some people do it, it depends on what's going on in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I do it once a year. And for example, my sister died. Okay, so seeing my sister is no longer a viable thing. I don't see my sister twice a year. She's gone. But what's happened is that I've developed a really close relationship with my niece. And so now I talk to my niece once a week, and that's really important to me, and it's important to her. And so that I've had to switch that. So my sister's out, and except I remember her on her birthday was March 10th. I said happy birthday to her. And I have with my niece. So whatever, there's things that are going to shift. People are going to come and go in your life. New people, old people are going to go away. So I would just say, be flexible with that. And I can't even remember what we were talking about.
I was just asking if there's something special you wanted to share about yourself or your business before we move.
Oh, I'm like you. I don't know why, but even though I grew up in that abusive relationship at home, I've always been a happy person. I've seen the good side of life. I have freaking always loved life. When people were drinking, I was the designated driver. I never wanted to drink. I didn't care about it. When it's, certain things happen, I just thought, okay, that happened, and let's move on, or what can we do next, or whatever. So I don't know. I really like the fact that I am curious as hell. I mean, I got way more than 9 lives as the cat. I just am always, well, how does that work? Well, what do you mean? Well, tell me more about that. Oh my God, that's so interesting. I just am fascinated by stuff, what people do, why they do it, how they do it, everything. So I don't know that, and I bring that into what I do. I bring that into my writing. I told you I wrote a book, but I also write for Medium, and I write for 60andMe, and I write for different other little platforms. And it brings me joy if somebody gets some value out of it. And so that's it. It's just fun. Yeah.
I love that.
I really like life.
Yes, me too. And so one of the other reasons 5 years ago we started this interview series was to feature really brilliant, amazing people like you. But we also wanted to take a moment of pause in our interviews and talk about causes that warm their hearts or make their hearts sing or just bring them joy. So let's talk about your cause for a few minutes.
Well, when Jessica asked me this, I thought, well, this is so interesting. Now, am I supposed to think deep? And I thought, no, honey, where do you put your money?
Yes.
So I put my money in things that involve the environment and things that usually involve kids, people. That's kind of where my money goes. Educating children. And so, but one of the ones that I really like is called the World Wildlife Fund, WWW, and their little icon is a panda bear. And this particular, when you give money to an organization, you want to make sure the money's going where it should go and not to the people sitting in the office somewhere. So you check that out. I checked them out years ago. I've been giving for a long time. But the environment and the animal world is very important to me. And I think if I had to do over, or maybe I will do it even still, I would be an environmental attorney and speak for the environment when nobody can speak for them, And so I've traveled the world. I've been so privileged to travel the world and see lots of things and see lots of animals that we would never see here in the United States. And it just brings me such joy. But this particular organization goes into countries and deals with the people on the ground level, not with corporations, not with NGOs, not with oil companies, but with indigenous peoples and with people on the ground who can make a difference. And through education and whatever, they get them to realize how valuable where they live is, the animals that are around them, the flora and fauna that's around them, and what they can do and how important it is for them to preserve it. So I appreciate so much what they do around the world, and they are a brilliant organization and that just does good. They just do good all the time. Now, they have little things. I'm a minimalist. It took me 17 freaking years, Jessica, but I became a minimalist. So I don't buy their gifts, but they have the loveliest gifts that you can, if you donate some money here, you get this plush animal or whatever. You can, you can give the plush animal to the grandchild in the name of some organization. So it's really sweet. I like that. But I don't own things anymore, so I don't do that, but it's fun.
Yeah, well, it's always nice to give to someone else, so we don't have to keep
Absolutely.
it, give it to someone else. So I love that. Well, thank you for bringing that, because bringing awareness is a powerful thing that we can do. It's free, it's simple, and that's why I incorporated it into my interview series. So now I want to talk about not a book written by you yet, but let's talk about a book that inspired your life or helped grow your business. Do you have a book that you love that was written by someone else that we could share and talk about?
Yes, it's so interesting because you already mentioned this, but I chose Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Aha,
and Think and Grow Rich, me too. I think it was written in 1937. I could be wrong. So it's not a new book, but it is a book that has withstood time.
Yes.
And like you were talking about before, he mentioned so many interesting things. But one of the things you were talking about is with the mastermind. So we're one person and we're one person. And when we're two people, we're infinite with ideas. And so if you have a mastermind of 10 people, 8 people, 6 people, 20 people, 200 people, it's phenomenal what can happen. And that's why it's just that I read his book years and years ago. Then I read the book maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I think I'm going to read it again, because every time I read it, it brings a new awareness to me. I go, because first of all, I'm evolving. And things make it different. I see things differently in the book. So but anyway, I highly recommend it. It's not a long book. It's not a thick book. It's an excellent book. And I mean, I don't know, but I bet people could even get it for free now,
I agree. You can get it at a secondhand shop. You can get it. Sometimes you can get it from the library. It's an amazing book. And I 1,000,000% agree with you. It's one of my all-time favorites for sure. And I think it'll stand the test of time for another 50 or 100 years. I mean, it's a pretty amazing book. Good choice. Now, you also wrote a book that's got a little bit of a zinger of a title, so we're going to dance around that a little bit. But pretty much, it's kicking the concept of aging to the curb, or giving it a good shake, or giving it a good a new perspective. So talk to us. We'll make sure we have the link to your book, but give us a little bit of insight on what the value of reading your book is.
It's it's interesting that you say that, because I got value of writing it, but reading the reviews also made me realize what value other people got. So, when you're writing something, you're just really close to it, and you're editing and you're writing, and but when you step away. So I really learned a lot from people who wrote reviews. And so they said it was like a wake-up call for them, that they thought they were doing fine, their life was good, and they realized how much more was available for them. And then somebody else really liked the way that I wrote it in a really kind of folksy style. I'm not a PhD. I don't have these credentials after my name. I don't have letters or anything, but that's who I wanted to talk to. I wanted to have a conversation with people. So basically that's what I did. And in the very first chapter, I kind of go into the history of who we are and how we got here and why we're so important, and what's at stake here for the world, for the future, and how we, particularly my age, you're younger, but my age, we're pioneers of the new way of aging. And we need to set an example for people coming behind us, that this is freaking amazing. This is the best time to be alive. This is you can do anything.
Yeah.
So that's basically, what it, so I go through the chapters and I talk a lot about it. Then I focus on people who have done certain things.
Yeah.
And they are not, some of them might be known. I really didn't know them until I researched it and talked to them and listened to them. And I didn't know them. So they weren't front name people. But they have done amazing, amazing things. So I wanted to showcase what people are doing. And then I also talked about how they can make a difference. There are organizations out there right now giving out a lot of money and how you can tap into that. But also then what we talked about in the beginning is tap into yourself. Tap into yourself. You're just such a freaking resource of knowledge and experience. So that's what my book's about. It's an uplifting book. People thought it was a fun book. People laughed at the title. People said, "Oh my God, I'm going to have to put this in a brown paper bag." And, it's so funny. So it's, but anyway, it was fun to write. And I'm thinking about a second one, I almost want to call it We're Not Dead Yet, because we're not. Holy smoke. We're doing better than ever,
You just have to make sure that's not trademark or copyright by us.
Oh, I wouldn't name it that, but you know what I'm saying? I'm saying, give us a break. Give us a break here. We're doing great. We're doing great things. And so and shows like yours. And I've been on several podcasts that deal with people over 65. And those podcasts also bring to light the amazing things people are doing. And that's as it should be.
Yeah.
Now, and then just also being out in society. There's a group, I can't remember it right now, but and they talk about cogeneration. I'm really, really a big fan of cogenerational things.
Yeah.
How I mean, it's great to be in a community of over 55, but I want to be with everybody. I want to be with young people and old people and middle people and so on. So that is such an important concept that as we get older, we share not only who we are and what we know, but we share that with people that are younger who can benefit from it. And they share with us all of their experience that they have and all their technology and all of the ways they're viewing the world. And, I don't know if you've noticed, but my generation, we really kind of mess things up. And I kind of think it's our responsibility to sort of clean it up. A lot of environmental things and some racial things and some other stuff going on started a long time ago. And we have an opportunity to shift a lot of that for the better. And I want us to take it. I
think you're so right about the multi-generational, because I always thought that it's such a shame people sitting in these nursing homes and even assisted living facilities and things, they have so much knowledge and so much information to share and pour out on someone, and so few people to share it with. And I remember being a little girl and my great grandmother, and, I would sit, and it was difficult for her to communicate, but I would sometimes get to her to tell me what things were like when she was a little girl. And I was so fascinated by that, because she would tell me things like, there was no television, and when, this is how we did the food, and this is how we farmed. They had a farm, and this is how everything worked. And she would share that with me, and to me that was like this whole other universe, this whole other fairy world. What do you mean a world with no television? Like, what do you mean a world that existed before this, that, or the other convenience was available? Like, it took me to, in my mind, as I knelt on the floor beside her chair, listening to this magical, amazing place that was so different than the world I live in. And I think that that's something we miss out when we don't put these generations together, to go back and remember what it was like and how they had to operate and function in the world, and then in comparison to how we do now, and the different things that are hidden in between those lines for us to learn about how we've grown as a society, what those changes are. Some of them are good and some of them have a lot of negative that we have to overcome now, because there was a time where everybody was always at the dinner table. That was a good thing. Whole families were always around the dinner table. That was not a question. That was not a conversation. There certainly weren't any cell phones or TVs on when they were sitting at the dining room table. You know, they actually talked to each other, you know. So I think that we need to remember the good of how things were, and try to make sure that we're hanging on to that as we progress and move forward with changes and technology and the world of the future. But we should hang on to the most valuable treasures of what were from the past as well. And part of that is having that knowledge from all the generations, right? From all of the generations, and valuing that. So I love that you shared that. If you are a profound professional and you are watching this, or if you're an industry expert in something somewhere in the world, anywhere in the world, and you would like to help share something that would improve someone's life, their relationships, their self-worth, or help them grow their business and achieve their goals and their dreams and get in line with their passion and purpose, then you should be on our show. So please reach out to us, because we would love to feature you, as we featured Kathleen today, and have you on Profound Professionals with us, and be someone's hero today and mine, and share this with someone that you know that is perfect for this show, and we should have them on. So email introduce us, and we would love to again feature them and have us on Profound Professionals. So before we say goodbye, Kathleen, I always like to ask our guests to share one last piece of information or inspiration with our audience. So what could you share with us?
Oh, I just want people to honor themselves and be true to yourself and share your wisdom. So those three things.
That's beautiful. I love it. And it goes with my normal close that I say every time we say goodbye. As always, I am your host, Jessica Koch. We thank you again for watching and for sharing, because you never know who needs to hear this. And this has been another episode of Profound Professionals. So until the next one, be kind to yourself and be kind to each other. Bye, everybody.